In today's video, we will learn about the meninges of the brain and major dural folds. The meninges of brain. The meninges are protective membranes that enclose the brain and spinal cord, providing support, cushioning, and a barrier against infection. They consist of three layers, each with distinct characteristics and functions. These are dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. The meningeal layers are shown in the illustration on the right side of the slide. The outermost layer, the dura mater, is a tough fibrous membrane that provides the primary structural support to the brain. It consists of two layers. Periosteal layer adheres closely to the inner surface of the skull and acts as its periosteum. And the other is meningeal layer that lies beneath the periosteal layer and is in contact with the arachnoid mater. These two layers are fused except at specific locations where they separate to form venous sinuses, which are channels that drain venous blood from the brain. The dura mater is richly innervated, making it sensitive to pain, which is a significant factor in headaches. The middle layer, the arachnoid mater, is a delicate web-like membrane that lies just beneath the dura mater. The space between the arachnoid mater and the underlying pia mater is called the subarachnoid space, which contains cerebrospinal fluid and blood vessels. This space serves as a cushion, absorbing shocks and protecting the brain from trauma. The innermost layer, the pia mater, is a thin vascular membrane that closely follows the contours of the brain and spinal cord, dipping into sulci and fissures. It plays a role in nourishing the brain tissue and maintaining the blood-brain barrier. Now, the dural folds. The meningeal layer of the dura mater forms specialized inward projections called dural folds or dural septa, which partition and stabilize the brain within the cranial cavity. The major dural folds include falx cerebri, tentorium cerebelli, falx cerebelli, and diaphragma cellae. Falx cerebri. It lies in the longitudinal fissure separating the two cerebral hemispheres, attached anteriorly to the crista galli of the ethmoid bone and posteriorly to the tentorium cerebelli. It houses the superior sagittal sinus and inferior sagittal sinus, which are important for venous drainage along its superior and inferior margins respectively. Tentorium cerebelli. This separates the cerebrum from the cerebellum, forming a tent-like structure, extending horizontally between the occipital lobes and the cerebellum. It contains the transverse sinuses and straight sinus. The opening at its center, the tentorial notch, allows the passage of the brainstem. Falx cerebelli is a small triangular fold located between the two hemispheres of the cerebellum. Anchored to the internal occipital crest, it provides additional stabilization for the cerebellum. Diaphragma cellae is a small circular fold of dura mater covering the pituitary gland in the sella turcica. It has a small aperture for the passage of the pituitary stalk. It protects the pituitary gland and contributes to its structural support. The major dural folds are visible in the diagram on the right side of the slide. Some of the clinical conditions that may involve the meninges are meningitis, which is inflammation of the meninges caused by bacterial or viral infections. Subdural hematoma, which is bleeding between the dura mater and the arachnoid mater, typically due to head trauma. Tentorial herniation. This is a life-threatening condition where brain tissue herniates through the tentorial notch due to increased intracranial pressure. The meninges and dural folds are critical not only for structural support but also for ensuring the proper circulation of cerebrospinal fluid and venous blood, thus maintaining the brain's functional integrity. This is a brief explanation about the features of the meninges covering the brain and the dural folds. In the next part, we will continue with the blood supply to the brain. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Do like and share the video and subscribe the channel to learn more.